I'm JD and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be reassembling this old vintage size 6 Waltham pocket watch. It's a pretty damn good condition, except the face is a little bit cracked. So I don't fix porcelain faces, so you get what you get. But we'll reassemble this. It's been through the cleaning machine, as you can see in the back here. These are the baskets. I haven't taken this stuff out of the baskets yet. I assume after a week that it's dry. Pause, joke, haha. There you go. We're also going to put a battery in a very old watch. I'll make a separate video on that to see if that old watch actually works again. So anyway, let's get at it. Hey, I'm back. Look at that, a piece of Rodico. Amazing, amazing. So, yeah, there we go. Look at that, Rodico. Stretch it out to clean it and then wrap it around. So I'll use this piece of Rodico to do the work on this watch. So here's the basket. So last night, this is the cleaning basket. So last night was the night before Christmas and all through the house. My wife and I watched 2 movies on Disney. So one movie, I gotta make sure I don't screw this up. One movie was called Prey. So that movie was kind of like Aliens, you know, the Alien versus Predator, but it was the Predator guy who came down to Earth, and the timing of it was 1850 or 1830, I think. There's all the parts. I'm going to debasket these parts here. So the timing was 1830, and it was kind of like the Arnold movie there, Predator or Alien, whatever it was called. It was called Predator, but this one was better. So this was an amazing movie, and it was about indigenous. It was Navajo folks, and this lady was going to be entering kind of past her youth and then becoming a hunter, and had to do these certain things to become a hunter. And the predator guy lands on Earth, and the whole thing flips into trying to protect themselves from, or trying to kill the predator. So anyway, a little bit violent, but just an amazing movie. They did a great job on it. There's basket 1 done and dusted. So I have to restack the baskets. So I want to put them back the way that I had them. So I'll put this upside down back on the lid and pull out the next basket. So we watched that. And then we watched this other crazy movie, which very good acting. It scored, the critics gave it 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is excellent. And it was a horror movie about this bed and breakfast outside of Detroit City. And that's all I'm going to tell you, because it's one scary movie. So we watched that one. It was like, oh my God, this one is way over the edge, Jerry, way over the edge. So it was very well made. And I don't normally like watching horror movies because I end up having to go to bed with the covers over my head. So this was definitely a covers over your head movie, right? So it's as you can see, I'm being a good boy and I'm wearing my glove today. So I'm just going to dump this over here, and I'll show you what I got later. But I'm just dumping it. There's some small screws in there too, and I got to keep an eye on the small screws. Put the lids back on after I do the dumping. The hardest part of putting this watch together will be putting together the setting mechanism, right? Because it's pretty complex. So there's only one way of doing it where it works, and that's the way I'm going to do it. So you'll have to watch me as I attempt to put this one together. It's an older watch, so the setting mechanism is not a new design. So there's all of the stem and other parts. This thing is, hopefully my memory is good on how I took it apart, because there's certain things that you've got to put back in a certain way in order for it to work, and if you don't, it doesn't work. And I definitely want this thing to work, right? So there you go. And just as I look in there, I just got to make sure all the parts are out, right? And they are. That way I got myself, it's clear, I tell you. And now the last basket here has got the big parts. Just wheel this up. I'm good. I'm wearing a glove today, so I have the The glove fanatics are going to call me up. I was thinking of re-mainspringing this watch, but it's such an old watch, it'll likely not be used, and this mainspring is still good. It may be a little set, but it's not completely set, so I might put this back together like this and get this thing running. I'll check the amplitude. If the amplitude is super poor, then I'll probably end up taking it apart again and replacing it, mainspring, but I think that'll do. That's this part here is the bottom of the barrel. It's the bottom of the barrel. That's maybe where that's where that saying came from. This is the bottom of the barrel. That's the top. So this is a tricky little barrel to wind back in. So I'm gonna have to play with that to get that back in. And this here is the that's the arbor for the mainspring barrel. Let's put that in the barrel. And there's the upper plate, all cleaned up, ready to rock and roll. This is a very old Waltham pocket watch. Just making sure all the parts are kind of out of the way, so you don't want to get your hands in there. Also, you don't want to breathe on things too much, right? Because things could move when you're breathing on them. So I left some screws in place here. I didn't bother taking them out. There's a screw right there I left in place. And when I look in here, I can see something here. What's that? I'm just going to dump that and see what it is. It's like a little tiny piece of metal right there. Whatever that is. I'm going to move it out of the way because it's not a screw, so. Yeah, so that's it. That's the bottom plate here. That'll be the base for reassembling this. The first thing I'm going to do, I think, is put the setting mechanism back together again. So I'll have to look at some photos to make sure I got it right. Right! And just to be super anal retentive here, I'm going to put my baskets all back together again, because this is what needs to happen. If you don't clean things up after you do work on the watches, then it leaves a mess, and then you could get confused on what you're doing. I remember when I first started, I was really trying to line things up because I didn't know where anything went. And after a while, especially with pocket watches, you kind of know where all the parts are. I do still have to work on Bill's chronograph, but I'm still waiting for the mainspring, or for the new mainspring for the chronograph, because it deserves a new mainspring. I ordered one from cousinsuk.com, and I'm just waiting for that to show up. I use a wireless charger box here to save this, to put the basket in, and that ensures that it doesn't fall anywhere. See, it's kind of what it looks like in there. Just ensures that I don't lose the parts for the basket. There, everything's got a home. Everything has got a home. And if I zoom out a little bit, you'll see what I got here. You just roll the camera back a bit and you'll see what I got. There we go. So there's the parts and the groupings. These parts are all part of the setting mechanism. I've got some rings here, like things like this. Like I know this ring here goes on top of this part here, like that. See how that fits in nicely? That's a clip that was for these two arms, these pawls, I guess they're called, or arms or something. And then there's two screws that would look the same that would be put back in here, and one screw that's put in for that. That's why I grouped the screws like that. So I'll look at the screws closely to make sure I got them bunched right. These are little fatties, I think, that go into this, and then there's a longer thinny that goes into this one here. So just make sure the groupings are proper. This looks like it's magnetic, so I might want to run that through the demagnetizer, these little tiny parts, because they get magnetic over time, and I can just quickly demagnetize those. And I'm not sure if this is magnetic too, but no, that might be aluminum actually. And this is the bridge for the pallet fork, and this is the seconds, or the minute wheel there. And I've got the this here is the click spring, and I've got here the jobby do thingamajobby doohickey, and they put in two of these here. Look at that, dual. So there might have been rubbing going on because they added two of them instead of having one to keep the face away. And then if I group up parts again, these two screws go over here with the bridge, this little tiny screw goes over here with this click spring, and that's the cannon pinion, in case you're curious. And then I've got, that's magnetized, look at that. Look at the magnetism on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this all together, and I'll just demagnetize the whole damn thing, right? Instead of trying to demagnetize each of the small parts, which will get me in trouble. And having them magnetized might actually help me a bit when I reassemble, right? There, this actually just goes in to this, and then the whole unit goes in there. So I just have to get the picture of that. And then I've got these wheels here. This one here is kind of an intermediate wheel, and I'm trying to remember where that went. I think it probably has a lip on it as well for the screw. And I believe, yeah, there's the lip there. And the screw goes in into the middle, and then that's the lip that holds it in place, because that screw would fall right down through the center like this, and then it would hit the lip. Don't give me any lip, boy. So that's that stuff there. That's my inventory. So I don't need to have this in the way, but I do need to know which side of this to put together. So, because I can put the setting mechanism back together, do the mainspring kind of last before I put the bridge on, because I think I'm lucky today and there's a bridge right over the mainspring, which is but sometimes you have to put the mainspring in first and then put in the center wheel, depending if it covers the mainspring or not. So this kind of, this kind of goes, this piece right here, I believe, goes in right here, like that, and then it screws in from the other side. So we shall see. And it goes down, right? It goes down into the hole. Into the hole. And right now it's at a bit of an angle, so got to make sure it's not at an angle when you put it back together. And there was a screw for this, which I think is right here. So again, you make sure you group up the screws while you're doing this work, and don't hold the tweezers too tight, or the screw will go for a fly. All right, this dude is my great-great-great-grandfather. Died in 1885 at the age of 96. His wife was Bridget Downing, and she died in 1878. She was also 96. So these folks were born in 96, 4 years. So 1781. Oh my God, 1781. Wonder what happened in 1781. So that's an original gravestone from the graveyard in PEI, Canada. So I go way back, and they are relatives of Rocket Richard. So that's pretty cool. So here's some photos of the Wally watch, I'll call it, the S6 Wally watch, and how this whole thing comes together. So I'm going to put this together, and I'm going to do it on video, which is way more difficult than just doing it on your own. But I got pictures of the whole mechanism, so I can see how this thing goes together. So it's pretty tricky. There's a close-up there. So just got to make sure it's all clipped together nicely, and I think I took a picture of the outside with the clip still on. Did I do that? Was I smart? Yeah, I did. So there it is there. So I actually have to put the stem and all of the mechanisms, the crown wheels and stuff in together before I put that thing back in together. And then this little metal clip has to go on the end here. And I got to figure out which way these go on as well. And this little arm here goes on the outside of this here. So, and then of course it all has to work. That's the hard part. Putting it together is easy, but getting it to work is another whole story. So, but the first thing I got to do is actually put the screw in the bottom of this here, and screw that in lightly. I think I can screw it in with this just sitting there. I think I can. Right, we'll see. If this doesn't work, then I just take a piece of Rodico, or I can hold it on the back end with my glove. Put that in there like that. And then I've got to use a very small screwdriver. But You're gonna hear the chair go down because I'm gonna get myself closer to my work. Oh, jeez, I almost fell. Oh, geez, oh. All right, so there we go. That's that. And if there's a way of me holding this on the bottom, it's gonna help better, but I'm not sure if I can do that. So I just go in like this and then put a little pressure on here. I gotta tighten this up first. Just tighten that up just a bit. Like that, and then put a little pressure. I just want that screw to go in. So I'm going to get up close here. Alright, that didn't work. I'll likely have to take it apart again and have a look at what I did. Yeah, just do this. Take it out. Turn it around carefully and have a look at it. Yeah, still it's a little bit of an angle here. So I just want to move this just a bit, a tad, as they say. Just move it a tad. And move that bar back. I think that should do right there. Push that in again. And again, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I'm going to tell you it's going to be tough because I got to put that screw in from the other side. So what I'll do is I'll put a piece of Rodico on there, right? And that'll hold that, and that should hold that in place, right? Rodico is man's best friend, watchmaker's best friend. I can push that down pretty hard because taking it off is not going to cause any problems. I'm touching the edge with my fingies, so don't get mad at me, okay? Please, you watchmakers out there. I deserve some respect. Respect, I tell you. Now, when I put that screw back, I just want it to be in there ever so lightly, right? I can move this a little closer, probably. It's not going to get in the way as long as my hands are free. And I just put that in here. And drop that down. And my screwdriver wasn't wide enough, so I'm going to grab a wider screwdriver. This one here, which is it's got the, let's see, gray. Man, it looked like it was going in. But it wasn't. This could be the hardest part of the whole day. This could be the wrong screw as well. So I'm looking at that, and even if this is to go in flat, it won't go in there super well, so this could be the wrong screw. I hate to say it. If I take a look at these screws, let me look at this one here and see what this one looks like. I gotta have the right screw for that or it won't work. This one's got a rim on it, right? So no, this one fits perfectly on the edge of this. Now I know I grouped my screws up properly, so I may have to test that screw. Let me move this back here. Let me look at that opening here. Because I think a wheel then sits on top of this. Or does it? Yeah, I think it does. So this screw, let me look at the screw again because I don't know where else this would fit if it doesn't fit there. I'm trying to focus. I don't know. It's very hard to say whether that's the right screw or not. I'll try again here. So I've got that screw all the way in like that. And if that screw goes all the way in like this, there's no friggin' clearance on this side for anything to go over here, unless the wheel goes in first and then the screw goes in. I'm gonna have to have a look at the picture for the other side. Yeah, I think the wheel goes on first, so it's that top, this wheel here. This top wheel right there, and the screw goes on top of that, and then that goes through. So this is a pretty complex little job you do. So this would be the wheel here that goes on first, and then the screw goes on top of the wheel, like so. Just slide that in. Start with. So it goes in like that. Now the question is, if I got that in like this, is there enough screw sticking out to grab that back? Let me just Rodico this for now and push that down, and then let me look at the play on the other side, because this could be the hardest part of the whole watch to put together. So let me look at what I got here. I'll take this off. It's going up just a little bit, but not much. Maybe this thing flips down the other way. I'll have to have a look at that now again. Make sure I got it the right way. I tell you how much I love working on these stem mechanisms. Wow, what a pain in the butt. Try not to lose anything in looking at these photos. But I see I've got the stem here. And if I look at this, the question is, when I put that in there, this part of the stem mechanism, this gear here, needs to go on here first, like that, right? So very carefully slide that on. And then the end of that, this gear here, which ratchets on the end, has to go on as well, like that. And I basically just turn that until it finds it, because it's square on the end, so it has to go on like that. Then the whole enchilada needs to slide on this post, right? So if I have, let me just rotate this so I can find the opening here. This, I may have to go off camera to put this together, because it's going to be a little trickier than I thought. This rod here then goes through the middle of all of that. I may have to get up closer here to look at it. But, so it goes in the middle like that, and then slides in place like this. Just try to move this up and out of the way. So I think this gear can't fall into, oh, it can, there we go. So that falls in like that. And then, so this is all good. I just have to, on the other side, be able to get the screw into this plate, because it goes like this, right? I think that's all good there. So what I'll do is Rodico this top part, like make sure it's down really good. And then I can, let me just move this camera up just a bit here like that so you guys can see what I'm up to. So I Rodico this part to make sure this is going to stay in place. And that'll keep this plate in place as well. So I'm push down on this and just make sure that's in really good, because I need to put that screw in somehow. So if I flip this over like that, I've already Rodicoed the other side. So I just tighten this movement holder up a bit. And I think if I remove the Rodico here, then I've got the screw and this gear stuck on this side here. So, and I'm going to look in the way this thing sits in there, so I don't, got to make sure you get the right edge. And this sits in like this. Like this. And this screw has got to catch. When I look down on that hole, it looks like it's off to the edge there, so. That looks like there's nothing to allow that to catch. So this could be fun, as they say, right? Nothing is catching there, so how the hell do you do this? I have to take this apart. And I have to apply some pressure on the base here, I think. Let me look at the edge here. Yeah, it's down, so it's up just a tad. If you look at the edge there, I'm just explaining this to you really quickly here. So if you look at this here, and if you look at right there, there's a tiny little gap there. So if I'm able to press there, I got no clamps that'll clamp that down. I don't think I have a clamp. It'd be good to have a clamp to clamp that down, but then it would get in the other way, the other side. So if I just use my fingernail and push that down while I turn the other screw, I might be able to do it, right? So of course the whole thing fell down here. So I'm just going to very carefully push this off of everything so it's out of the way. Move my thingamajobby doohickey out of the way, and I put this right in there. And then the screw, there's not much of a screw that catches there. So in the worst case scenario is that I have to go hunting for more screws, which I do not want to do. I have to put my screwdriver in here while I apply pressure on the other end. Hopefully I can do that. Alright, nothing is catching here at all. Alright, I might have to go off camera and work on this. Alright, I think the problem is I had the wrong wheel and screw configuration. I think this goes somewhere else. It doesn't go where it is. So I think this goes over here and not over here. They look exactly the same size. So that was my problem. So, and as they say in watchmaking, never force the parts. So if I use this, if I now try to screw that in like that, look at that, it fits. You idiot. Actually, I'm not that much of an idiot. It just looked like it was. I'm gonna make sure that's still free. There, I just screwed that in nice and tight, and that is still free, which is great. I get the right tightness in there. That's good. So that's free. That's on that side. So you know when you try something out and you say, okay, it doesn't work, you knew it came apart the first time, so stop your complaining. So I got that in like that, which means this is in nicely. I got some leftover Rodico here I'm gonna have to get rid of. So the leftover Rodico is right in there. So I'll just move that down a bit and grab the edge and just pluck that Rodico out. And is it all gone? Yep, it's all gone. So there we go. So that's really good. So I got that in. I just made a mistake. That this little rig here goes somewhere else. Don't force the parts. I was even at the point where I was thinking, okay, it doesn't seem to fit here. Maybe why? Maybe I need to go find a better screw. And I'm glad I didn't go hunting for a stupid screw, and then you end up, you know, screwing it up, so to speak, right? So you see if I get a good angle here on this so you guys can see what's going on. Yeah, this is tricky. So that's in very nicely. I noticed the depth. If you look at this here, I noticed the depth of the screw here, right? From my photograph, and I just wasn't getting that depth, right? So I want to make sure that this plate is aligned nicely, and it looks like it is. So I don't think there's any issues with the alignment here. And if I just move this around here, I can see there's nice free movement of this. And the bars on the top there, everything seems to be fine. Now I got to put together these clips and stuff. And I got to look at another photo to do that. All right, this is what I got to put together next with that little clip on the bottom right-hand side. And make sure that goes in nicely. And making sure that the bar here is on the other side of this clip here, right? So a little bit tricky to do that, but here we go. All right, so what scares me the most about doing this part here is things flying off. So I notice that this has got to go into the groove of this, right, and be on the other side of that. And there's a little screw on the plate here that it attaches to. So again, I got to get up nice and close so I don't screw this up. So this goes in like this. There we go. See, that moves back and forth nicely. And then this pawl here goes in on the end like that and feeds into the mouth of this here like that. And then this wire clip goes on there. This is the one that scares me, because once I put the wire clip on, I think I'm going to have to Rodico the end or something. I just have to see how that plate fits on top of everything, because then this plate here goes on right after that. So I want to make sure I can grab that plate and put that on. So I do not want this stuff to fly. All right, now I got to put the spring on here, and I can't find my stick that I bought. I'm just going to check the angle of the spring here, because I think it goes on like this. Looks like the shorter one's on that side, and it sticks in. It goes on the edge right there, and then it stretches over to the other side. So if I Rodico the edge here, right, then that spring's not going to go anywhere while I pull it over the other side. Is that true or not? I just take the Rodico off. That is on there nicely. Like that. Oh, fuck. I swore. Sorry about that. Yeah, this is what the hardest part of this watchmaking is. Putting this stuff together again. Especially these old mechanisms here. They're such a pain in the ass. I think that the watch companies had jigs for this stuff, so that there were no mistakes made. So it goes like this, and then I've got to very carefully stretch that spring over this side here. And I do mean carefully. You almost want to be inside of a bubble when you're doing this stuff. Because now if I put this plate over nice and easy, still recording, I think. Like this, that's going to hold all that in place. I'm being super cautious right now. Just line that up again. And throw the screw down the center. I'm really worried about losing that spring. If I were to lose the spring, I could likely make another one out of a guitar string. I'm really holding my breath here while I'm doing this. Shit. It's not working. Get a different screwdriver. All right, Lord, lift and Mother of God. I know no other way of doing this. I think this is also magnetized or something. The screwdriver is or something. So it's likely the screw. Jesus Murphy. All right, I found home. Holy crap, that was not easy. And this looks like it's, the circle here is rotated just a bit. I don't know why, but I'm going to rotate it over that way. It looks like it's sort of in between the two pawls there, but pawls. It looks like it's just tightened down like that. I don't think this thing spins, so. All right, so that's good there. Okay, that's good. That was not easy. So that looks like it's in place now, and it seems to be working. This is shooting up a little bit, but it's supposed to. So there's no problem there. And I think while I got all this stuff out, I'll just put a little bit of oil on stuff. Man, oh man, that was not easy. I know when I took it apart, you know, when you take something apart, you know that, oh my God, I'm screwed putting this back together again. You know it by the time you're ready to poke it back together. You're like, okay, something's wrong here. What is wrong? It's got to be the morning after. I gotta grab this thing, hit my camera, because I need to clean off the oiler here, because I want to just put a little dab will do you. I'm gonna put the red stuff on here, get it nice and close. A little oil there, and a little oil there on the post. And that way when that moves back and forth, there's a little bit of oil on it. Don't want too much oil, but just a bit. And that'll work its way around. That's a friction point there, but there's so little friction there that you're not too concerned about that. So I'll leave that the way it is. Now just to make sure I've got the barrel will move around nicely, I put some yellow oil on the edge of this. And that, my friends, will find its way around. So I'm going to also that pushes in, that'll go into that gear there, so we're good there. So, and that's, don't think too much oil, just a little bit, which gives it nice movement. And I just want to poke away a little bit of oil from the center here. I think I had too much oil in there. And that's good there, that'll go on the top. So I think I've got most of this stem mechanism back together again. The question is, will it work, eh? So that's good there, that's good there. That's good there. I'm looking at all the pictures of the stem put back together. That's good there. So I think I'm good all the way around. So given that, the next thing I have to do is put together the wheels, the wheel of fortune. And that's where the barrel is. So the barrel's got to go in first, and then I've got to work my way up to the center wheel, right? From the escapement and everything else. So if I know that this is on the top part, right? So in the barrel, this is where all the other stuff goes, but I could probably put the pallet fork and the rest of that back before I attack the other part. So let me get the parts that I want to put together back in order. All right, so let me put the pallet fork and bridge back in. So there's the pallet fork, and that would go right here, and you got to make sure that the banking pins, pallet fork is well, make sure the pallet fork is between the banking pins. Every now and then stab your tweezers too with this pith pith stuff, pith wood, stuff that pisses me off. And then you got to have those clean all the time. And then this goes in like that. So, and then once I get that in place, I usually use, you know, that stick I bought. I don't know where the hell it is. So I bought the stick that's for helping to hold things, but I don't know where the heck it is. So you got this down like this, and just put a little pressure on the top and then raise up the pallet fork until it finds home, which I think it did just now. And then you can take the two screws, again put a little pressure on the top of this here. I had a coffee earlier. It's probably not the best thing to do. It's all about knowing how to use your screws, your tweezers to pick screws up. So once you got one screw in there, you're pretty good. The other one, the bridge will hold in place, but before I actually just have to make sure that's loose. And I look down on the bridge here. When I look down, I make sure there's no gap between the bridge and the plate. That means it's not squishing anything. And just move that pallet fork just a bit to make sure it's moving and the pivots are in there, because you will break the pivots. There we go. And if you break the pivots, you got to find yourself a sacrifice movement, which is not fun. So that's that. I think I'm going to try to put this barrel back together now. Just have to make sure all these other parts are out of the way. I think I could probably put the back part of this together now. I'm pretty anal retentive about not losing the stem and crap. So I'm going to just put a piece of Rodico on the top of this, so it decides not to go anywhere. So you just Rodico the top of that, and then you're good. And then I can put some of this back together, just to get the pieces out of the way. And again, take some photos with your iPhone if you got one, and it just tells you where stuff might go. So this one screw is the winding mechanism. So once you got this thing kind of set like that, I've got this here. Yeah, this here goes over the top of this, and I looked at where this little dirt mark was on it, and it's still in the same place. So this goes down like that, and there's a rim on there, as you can see, and then this goes over the top, inside that actually, and there's a rim on there, but it goes the other way. So just don't move the part, move the movement. There's a tip for you. Don't move the part, move the movement. Now I've got two screws I got to put in. One here. I'm going to hold my breath for all this stuff. This is breath holding stuff, man. Breath holding stuff. Hold your breath. It's like when I learned to shoot I was a kid in the Air Cadets. I learned to shoot. You took a couple of deep breaths and you let your breath out nice and slowly, and then you aimed, and when the breath was kind of almost halfway out, or more than halfway out, you aimed at the target, and then bam, you shot. Now again, I just want to make sure that this wheel is free. It's not super free because I got Rodico on the other side and it's meshing right here with this other wheel. So as you see these wheels here, the wheel truth about it all. So this wheel here, this gear is meshing with this gear here. So it's not free at the moment, but it'll be free. It'll be perfectly free later. So when I tighten this up here, just back it off and then tighten it. Right, so you know, make sure it's tight. That's pretty good there. And I just move this ever so slightly. Yeah, so I got movement there. There's no problem. No problemo. And then this next gear here is the one that actually winds the mainspring barrel. This one here, I'm grabbing it with the wrong side of the tweezers. So this gear here actually winds the mainspring. So if I grab this here and I just tighten this up here and put a little light on here because I got a light on my camera. There we go. Look at that. So it's all lit up. There we go. Not too tight, not too loose. Not sure how to say that, but and while I'm in the land of this stuff, I'm going to put a little bit of oil. Right in there. That'll transfer to all the other gears when I turn the winding mechanism. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. And I'm not sure if I should put a little bit like this mechanism right here, folks. I'll put a little on both sides, and then again that'll transfer through too. And I just put too much oil in there, so if you got too much oil, just grab a piece of Rodico, man's best friend, and you can dip it on here, and it'll get rid of the excess oil. There we go. I'm not going to be able to oil that gear. I don't really want to, so I don't care. So that's good there. That is put together there. Now I can go back to this side again. And now I want to put together the mainspring barrel. So with the mainspring, which is a trick and a half. Alright, so I did one of these barrels a while back, and I learned a few things. So the first thing I learned is that they're a pain in the ass. The second thing is that this arbor, I believe, goes this way. I think it does anyway. I think it goes through this way, and then it stays on the end as it goes through, like that. Just get in there so you're not making me a liar. So this arbor goes in like that, and then there's a square part that that squares up with the barrel here, and then this whole thingamajobby doohickey turns to wind the barrel. So this would go on top like that. So the first thing you got to do is figure out which way the mainspring goes in. Left, right, what? Counterclockwise, clockwise? I'm a smart dude, so I always take a picture of the mainsprings. Sorry about the long video, but there's the mainspring there, and as you can see, it is going clockwise. So it fits into the barrel. It goes spiraling this way, right? So there's the barrel, and this would fit in like that. So it's spiraling like this, which is a wonderful thing. And there's likely a hook on the inside of that barrel right there. You can see the hook. There's the hook right where my tweezers are. So the mainspring's got to go into that hook. So I've got to put this in. I do have mainspring winders for pocket watches. This is a small one, but I'm not sure if it'll work, but let me get it out. Alright, my bench is a mess. This is the side of the bench, by the way, so it doesn't count. So I think I did this before, but just slide that in like this and then pinch it. This is a base I bought, and it's actually for micrometers, but it seems to want to work for mainspring winders, so I've got nothing against that. So just put it in like that and squeeze it up. There we go. This base is heavy as hell too. Now the barrel size matters. So I got that barrel is way too big. This barrel is way too big for this. So I've got to undo that like this and take this out because that's just too big. And I've got my barrel sizes here. So all I need to do is match that barrel with the other barrel. Try not to touch the barrel with my Alright, I found one. So that there goes on like that. And you'll see in a second the barrel itself. This barrel has to be able to go over this or it doesn't work. So I got this set up already, screwed in. So I just have to slide this in like that. And then tighten this here. Tighten that screw and that keeps the barrel in place like that. So now when I wind the mainspring in, this is a nice little play-by-play for you. I have to make sure I get the direction right. So I look at my barrel direction and I look at my spring direction. And I said clockwise, right? So I just take the barrel like this and the spring direction, I match them up, and then I turn them both like that. And now I know that the barrel will pop on this way, like that. So I can wind my spring on this way. So it winds on clockwise. So I just have to stick the spring on here. Spring on. And I got to make sure that the knobby on the end isn't too big. So I may have to change this out too. So let me have a look. That goes on that way. So I got other knobbies here. This one is, I think, a bit smaller. Yeah, it is. I think this is more, it's the right size, I think, for this. Even though the pin for it seems to be sticking out a lot. I might be able to tap that down, just tap it with my hammer. My hammer! So, first thing I do is I unscrew this here on the top. Let's see. There we go. Unscrew that and pull this out completely. Put that aside. Usually that one works the best. And I'll just put that in and then tighten that up here. But before I do that, I think I want to tap that pin a bit because that pin looks like it's sticking out too far. Let me see, is the other side sticking out? Yeah, maybe I have to do it like this. Let me look at the spring here for a second. So the spring goes into the barrel. It's clockwise like that, so counterclockwise. So it would go in like this. I think this thing might be a little bit too big. I'm playing with it right now to see how this fits. I don't know, that pin looks pretty friggin' big. I'm going to tap this and see if it helps. Now I also have a set of Bergeron spring winders that might work a bit better. And I'll check this out and see if it works better. Alright, I'm going to put this thingamajobby doohickey away. Put it down here where I've so nicely stored it. And put this away because I think I'm going to try the Bergeron spring winders, which I think actually are more compatible. How the heck do I put this away? Anyway, I'll leave this like this for now, and then this goes in like this, like that, and just put this. Is there something missing here? Like that's there, this is here. Yeah, this is all good. So I'll put this away and let's just focus down here for a second. So those are the Bergeron spring winders. So this one here, again, I had to, which way is counterclockwise and clockwise and all the rest of them. So I found one. Let me just show you what I'm doing here. All right, so here's the spring winder here. So I had to make sure that this winder fits inside this barrel like that, which it does. which is a good thing. It's a number 8. It doesn't matter to me. And then I know when I push this into the barrel like that, it has to be sitting so it's clockwise like that. I determined that earlier, right? And that means when this goes inside of this, it's going this way, it will go this way, which will catch. Yeah, that works perfect. So I have to basically have this go into this like so, right? So it's going in like this. See if I can get that in there, like that, right? So I'll just put it down like this for now, and this is the device you put it into, and you crank that along like this and squeeze it in nicely, and there you press down in the end here to push it in. So that goes like that, and then this goes in like, I gotta find a crack in here somewhere. I think it's right there. Is that the crack? Phil McCracken. There we go. That's the crack there. So that's the spring in its ready position, right, to be wound in. It just goes down a bit like that. And then this here has got the hook. I looked at the hook on the edge there, and that hook will hook in the right place, right? So I can pre-hook it, or I can just start winding it like that and see if it pulls it in, right? Now you can turn this crank here, or you can turn the whole barrel. So I think turning the barrel works just as good. And when I get it to this position here, I just want to feed it in a bit, give it a hand, because it's under stress, just like I am right now. And I just want to feed it in like that, down to where it's kind of close, but not quite in. I'll go in a little bit more because I want to wind it back the other way in a second, right? Ooh, it might be too much. Hang on, let me back that off. No, it still should be good. So you can see the spring, the edge right there. That's where it's going to hook onto the inside of that barrel. So I'm just hoping it hooks. See, now I can take that out. There's the spring wound up like this. Now before I put that in, I'm going to take a little bit of oil. Oil's well and ends well. And I'm going to put a little bit of oil on the barrel on the inside, right there, and there, and there, like that. And that'll help the spring move around nicely. Of course, Buddy's going to have to send me back the watch 5 or 6 or 7 years from now. 10 years might do, because he seems to get it maintained every 100 years. So 10 years should be fine and dandy. So there, I've got that in like that. And now I want to make sure that this hook here lines up with the edge there. Now, if I could pull that out a little bit more, I will. I doubt if I can, but I might be able to. Just hang on. Oh, there we go. So I just pulled it out just a bit so it grabs that barrel. Now when I grab the barrel, like this, I look for the hook on the inside, and I can see the hook right there. There, I can see that hook right there. So now I want to push that in and make sure that, so just push the end of this here and hold it tight and make sure that it pops it into the barrel and catches that hook. And I think it caught the hook. It's hard to tell. If I look in my stereo or my microscope, I can tell whether it's caught the hook or not. If I look at it like this, it looks pretty good. But I'm going to look in my microscope to make sure that that has caught the hook. I'll be right back. So that has absolutely caught the hook. I'm not sure if I can show this to you up close because it's pretty cool when you see it in the microscope. See if I can show you this. Zooming in, there you go. If you look really closely, you can kind of see the hook, and there's a spring, and this hook is on the inside of that little hole in the spring, so it absolutely caught the hook. And I looked in my microscope, and it just unequivocally verifies the hook catching. So this is a great Bergeron set here. So let me just get that out, push that out, and I'm going to move everything out of the way just a bit. I don't want to squish watch parts. That's not a good thing. Move the arbor out of the way because I just want to show you the set for a second. It's a vintage Bergeron set I got from a gentleman. Very thank you for letting me have that set. I can't remember how much I paid, but I didn't get it for free, but it was a great find because it's good for right-hand turns, but not left-hand turns. So this is a right-handed hand mainspring winder. So let me just back up and show you this for a second. So there it is, Bergeron hand felder winder. Hand felder winder, yeah. And there we go. I think there's one missing, a very small one. Well, it goes down to 0, so that's 0, 0. 0 and 0, 0, and that'd be 0, 0, 0 maybe. But, you know, I think most of it's there. So this is high quality for sure, right? So that's the winder itself. So that was the best way of doing this. With the bigger mainsprings, you can still use this with the huge mainsprings. It goes up to 14, 15 barrel size. So size 18, you could probably still do it. But there it is there. It's a vintage Bergeron set. Not sure what you'd pay for it nowadays, but they're not cheap. They always have the Chinese knockoffs for those. So I'm never impressed with the Chinese knockoffs, but they do I said do they do a decent job at trying to make a decent tool. So always buy the best tools you can buy in watchmaking, because if you don't, you will be upset. You're wasting money. So buy the best tools you can find. So this is going to be a long video, folks. So now I got to put the barrel back together with the arbor, and these arbors are strange. So these arbors here will snap in and then catch that hook. So I just have to make sure that hook is going to squeeze that as it goes around, right? So I got to keep an eye on that because it's going to go in like this, and then the arbor is going to go in next. So, and I'm just going to look at my pictures once again to make sure I did not screw up. And when I look at that, I see the square part of the arbor sticking out the top here, so I'm right. So I just have to snap that in for now. It'll hook the arbor, and then I can put this, the inner part of the arbor in there nicely. So and this was like this. It wasn't squeezed in much more than that when I got it. So I'm just wondering whether that'll turn without a problem, whether it'll find that hook without a problem. So I just want to put the barrel back together like that, and then just squeeze that in. It turns clockwise, folks. Clockwise. So it's like that, and then this goes in like this. Turn it the other way. Don't be stupid. I think this, does it go in like this or the other way? Oh my God, am I getting a moment of stupidity? No, it goes in like this, because that's the part it sticks out of. So it goes in like that. Come on, get in there. And then this part squares up with the top part. I'll Rodico this baby too later. There we go. So it squares up like that. And now that should catch. If it doesn't catch, I'm screwed. So it needs to turn, to catch, I think it needs to turn this way, the top part. So if I grab this with a pin vise, can I grab this with a pin vise? Let me grab a pin vise here. Close that down. I need to back up a bit so you can see what I'm up to. It's very hard, very hard. So I'm just going to grab the end of the arbor here with a pin vise. Don't squeeze it too hard. Loosen up the pin vise. Make sure it's over the arbor, it always helps. Why is this not grounding? What's going on here, folks? And tighten the pin vise on this, on the arbor, like that. And then what did I say? It turns, this thing goes this way, like this inside the barrel. So it should go this way. And there, it just caught it, which is nice. You can feel the tension when it catches the spring, right? So that you just caught the spring there. So loosen it very carefully because you don't want it to uncatch the spring. And then you just have to loosen this up and pick this out of the, like that. And then this will go on to the, or into the watch like this. So if I get the watch like that, it should just sit right in there like that. Don't know if I need to put a little oil. I think I might just put a little tiny bit of oil in there. Just a tiny bit. Tiny, tiny bit. Right in here. Because that's where the gear falls in. Or the gear should fall in there anyway. That's the gear I'm going to show you in a second. Alright, so here's the gear. Here's the gear that fits in here, and there's a recessed part of that gear that's got to be upward, right? Because the arbor is going to fall into that, right? So now I can put the arbor in there now, right? Something's funky here. What is funky? Is that supposed to go the other way? Maybe. Because that goes in like this, and then this stuff's in like that, so maybe the arbor goes the other way. Just let me have a look. Be back in a second. Alright, I made a mistake. I gotta unwind this. Shouldn't be too hard to do. Just do it counterclockwise, because I need to put the arbor in first. Like that. Then I need to put the barrel together like this. So I'm going to do that like this. And then make sure that this sticks out like this. I got to turn this. A lot of pressure under camera, man. So I got to get under close scrutiny here. And I know that this goes clockwise like this, so I want to be turning it like this, right? Trying to get that arbor to line up here. So it sticks through. Come on. Stick through. Oh, there we go. So there's what it looks like. Pardon my long guitar fingernails, but so now it's in nicely. Now this part would go downward. But before I do that, I'm just going to rub it on it with Rodico here for a second. I don't think my fingerprints on here are going to matter, but I'm going to do that and put a little dab of oil. A little dab will do you. On the inside of where that, try to take the oiler off with one hand. Put it on the inside. Right here. I could probably oil that from the other side, but I'm going to put enough oil in there that it matters. There. Put that back in a second. So now this has to go on top of this. So I could put this on first, but it's on the other side. Let me get on the other side here for a second. Put this on, and it goes on like I think it goes on like this. Let me see. Yeah, it does. It goes on like this here. But you can see that. There, that's on there like that. And then this flips over and goes right in here. Like so. Let me move this rod out of the way. And when this barrel turns, it's got to turn this way, right? So and I know I got to put the click spring in here first. Otherwise, I think it goes right here. Otherwise, it's not going to click properly. And nothing's going to work. Now, I want to pull this up because it's going to pull the whole barrel mechanism up. So I just want to grab the whole barrel. And guess what? Guess what? You're an idiot. I'm an idiot. Get the barrel in backwards. Something's wrong here. Something is wrong here. So the barrel's like that. The hook is like that. Everything looks fine. And oh, that's the top of the barrel. No, it's perfect. I had the barrel in perfect. Forget what I said. But I need to put the click spring in first. And the click goes which way? I think it goes... The click would go in the opposite way of the non-click. So it goes like this here. It goes like this. And it pushes against that spring. So the click goes in like this. Like this. Here. It's pushing against that spring, and I think this is the screw for the clip. For the click spring. I flipped tweezers because those tweezers are the ones that are shitty. So go to less shitty tweezers. Still loose. I should be able to tighten this up a bit. That's still loose. That's good. Now the barrel can go in. And I gotta fit it in with the click spring out of the way. So this could be tricky. Could be tricky. Just use my tweezers and move that. Or use a screwdriver. And I want to push this out of the way while I drop the barrel in. So I'm dropping it in like this. Here. And then I'm going to reach in. I'm going to get the world's smallest screwdriver here. And I just want to press that click, the click part here to get it out of the way. And you can see it right on the edge there. Let me see if I can do this while you're watching. There we go. That's in there. And then the barrel, that hook should hook on. If it doesn't hook on, I'm screwed. So now this would turn again. This thing should go this way, like that. But I don't think it'll work until everything is not moving. So I'm going to put the bridge on, and this, I believe, is the bridge. So if I put this bridge on, do I have to put the bridge on before the wheels or after the wheels? Let me look, because I'm hoping that that spring clicks on where it needs to be, right? So, all right, I have to put some wheels in before I drop that bridge on. So, where are my tweezers? So first thing is the escapement. There's the escapement right there. And I want to put that in with the feet going downward. Are they going downward? No, yes, no, yes. No, they're going the wrong way. I think it goes in like this. Feet are forcing. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this goes in like this. Like this. And just to make sure that it's in the pivot. Yeah, it's in there. And the next wheel, next two wheels look a lot the same, but the next wheel is the second hand, so that should be easy to find. It's the one with the long stem, and because this is a hunter movement. Is that right? Something fishy going on. That's not right. Where is that stem? I think that's the center wheel. That's huge. Right, there it is. So this goes in like this. And it's because this is a hunter movement that the second hand is off to the 90 degrees off, I believe. Stop it. All right, that's meshing perfectly, and then this goes on top like this. I think that's in too. They all kind of lean over until you get the plate in. That one's in, and then I got to put the center wheel in now. These little friggin' watch movements are tough. Like I said, the size 6s are a pain in the butt. Sorry about that. I know that the gentleman who gave me this watch to work on is likely watching this video, so try not to be too negative. I think my wife said, don't be so negative when you're making these videos. All right, now I can put the plate on. And again, a little bit of oil around the arbor here. Oil on the arbor. No, 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 no. Is that down all the way? I think that arbor is still sticking up a bit. It is, damn it. It popped up when I put all this in, so I'm seeing if I can just move it around to get it back in place. When in doubt, grab it with a pin vise. Oh my God. I'll just grab this baby with the pin vise on the end here, and then I'll turn it and push it. There we go. Now it's in place. Pull the pin vise up and then move it out slowly. There we go. Now I can put this on. I oiled that, didn't I? I did. Now I can put this plate on, like so. and get those 2 screws that I hope are the right ones. And screw these down. It's a long video today. It's already 2:49, so it's going to take me forever to publish this thing. Doopy-doo, doopy-doobie. Sure, drop your screwdriver. I'm just making sure the plates are flat again, and I've got no issues. And I can tighten that up. That's good. So now, just make sure I don't forget anything here. Now I'm going to put this plate on here. And this is the one that's going to be fun because I got to line up all of the gears. So what I do is I drop this down, get as much of it lined up as I can line up, and then attack it with the little pokey hobby needle I have, and that'll help me just move these so it all drops in. So I'm going to come back. I basically take this needle here and then hold it up and then push a little bit of pressure down on. Often I'll put the screws down first, like put the 2 screws in first and then do it that way. What I don't understand right now is I've got an extra screw. Where the heck does that go? Oh, that's probably the screw for the balance cock. Yeah, that's probably this screw right here because that was a different color than the rest of them. So, but anyway, I'll replace that in a second. So what I do is I just lightly put this screw in. And I don't screw these down very hard. I just want to make sure the plate doesn't jump up and down on me. Just put them in like that, and like that. With 0 pressure pushing down. Now I can lift this up and do that. If that's the screw for the balance cock, I want to make sure if it's the exact same as the other screw, it might not matter. But it's a different color than the rest of them, so I think it's probably for the balance cock. So I'm just going to pull this one out and replace it with the right one. So let me grab the screw here. What a long day, man. Oh, flying tweezers of death. Flying fickled fingers of fate. Tighten that screw down. And now I'm going to get the pokey out and pokey on the inside to make sure the gears are right. I'll be back. There, I've pokeyed all the gears. The plate is flat on this side, but it's not flat on the other side. So there might be, I got to make sure the pivots are all through because I may have a pivot issue on the other side. So let me just tighten this down just a bit. And then I'm going to look on the other side to make sure the pivots are through. So they're all through on this side. I can see all the pivots on this side. So just take this off and then look for the pivots on the other side. Because if I'm missing a pivot, that's going to squishy the movement. So I've got pivots and more pivots. Let me look here and see if I've got all my pivots. So I got this one here, I got this one here, I got this one here, I got this one here. So all the pivots are showing. I think I'm fine. Yeah, stay away from the minute hand. I'm just going to push down a bit here and there we go. That's in now. Just tighten the screw up. Now my grandchildren are over today. And they all have snotty noses, so I think I might be screwed. That's not good. I don't want to catch cold. But it's very possible because I think they had colds. So now I may end up getting a cold, which I do not want to get. But that's what I get for seeing people. Snotty nose cold. And grandkids are little petri dishes. They carry all viruses. So that's good. So that's in there nicely. Now I should be able to wind this up just a bit and touch the pallet fork and see if I got action here. Let me just turn the winder this way. Yeah, this is hopefully it's just dust. Let's just pray for dust, folks. And there's my bench key, and I'm just going to wind this up. Make sure it's the right size bench key. That's too big. That's just right. I know I'm trying to get the mainspring to catch. Come on, you silly mainspring. If it doesn't catch, I got to take this mainspring apart again, and I think it's snapping right there. So it's not catching. Shit. These mainsprings are such a pain in the ass. If I go faster, it doesn't make a difference. Because it needs to catch. So that isn't working. So with a little bit of luck, I can remove this and slide the mainspring out without having to take everything apart, right? So it's not catching, which means I got to go investigate the mainspring now. Take it apart, do whatever. That's why it costs a lot to have a pocket watch done, because it's not this old technology here. And the old technology tends to be a little bit of a pain in the Batinsky. So let me just raise this up a bit and back this off just a tad, and then I think I can just rotate that, and I might be able to take this out without having to take everything else out. Am I right or wrong? I'm wrong. I'll take this out, and then this looks like it's all going to slide out nicely, because there's nothing holding it. So that I'm going to leave this in here where it is, because that's turning that, and then this was turning this, right, which was on the inside, like that. But it wasn't turning the mainspring, so I got to turn this mainspring until I know it hooks. There, it's hooked now. And then just assemble the whole damn thing. This is, try not to do it under video, because it just doesn't seem to work under video. Oh, I gotta turn my camera off before I swear. And I got sneezing in the middle of all this, which is either, hopefully it's dust. Dust or rust. But in the words of Neil Young, rust never sleeps. Is that what he said? I think he said that. Just have to make sure I keep the tension on this thing going this way, because it looks like it caught it doing that. So I have to turn this around until I get it in the right place. I don't know. Something wonky about this. Alright, I'm going to go off camera and fix this friggin' thing. I'll be right back. Alright, that took like half an hour. So what I had to do was go to the spring inside use this tool here, which is rounded, to squeeze the spring to make it grab that arbor a bit more. And remember, the arbor is attached to the top of that balance of the mainspring barrel, right? The geared part on the top of the mainspring barrel. Then I had to reset that lower gear that winds it. Once I had it wound in there, I squeezed the top plate onto the spring, and it's beveled just a bit so it squeezes on in. Turned it until I got some power, and now I've got power on it. And I just did the pallet fork test where you just snap the pallet fork back and forth like this. And you see the pallet fork is snapping back and forth. So that's good there. And before I put the balance in, I want to put a little bit of oil of this stuff here, 9415, on the pallet fork. So I'm just going to put a little tiny bit of this oil on the pallet fork. And that will help with the lubrication. That's way too much. Hang on. Yeah, I just want to wet the pallet fork here, so. That's going to help on that side and a little bit on the other side. And not too much again. And she's good as gold. Now what I should have done is put that on before I put the gears back in. Makes it a little bit easier, but if you don't, you can also put it on the teeth of the escapement and just let it wheel around until it catches everything. So I haven't sneezed again since my last giant sneeze, so maybe I don't have a cold. Well, let's hope. So now I've got to put back in the mainspring, but I haven't dunker tanked it yet and cleaned the cap jewels, so got to get at that and be right back. All right, the infamous dunker tank. I hope you people appreciate the utility of this tool. So it's pretty cool. It's a cool tool. And it just allows you to very simply dunk the balance, which will likely help you in the long term. I'm trying to get the balance off of this, the balance cock off of this made in China. There we go. There we go. There is the balance dangling in the dunker tank. So I'm going to raise it up. Here comes the dunker tank. Let's see if I can see when it hits pay dirt. There we go. And this stuff will not, I repeat, not harm the shellac on the impulse jewel. So you're not going to have shellac issues with the impulse jewel. I'm going to make sure I don't move this too much. Okay, I'm as high as I want to go right now, and I'm going to put a little bit more fluid in here. I don't think there's a lot in there now. Let me have a look. No, I'm not even at the line. What the hell, eh? Alright, fill her up. I always spill stuff on my mat. Time to get some watch paper out. This stuff just absorbs fluid like you wouldn't believe. So I think I just took a bit off of the actual, there we go. Get that absorbed, a little bit of that. Just lighter fluid, so it's gonna, it'll clean itself off, which is nice. So this is a quick way of doing this safely without having to, remove the balance from the balance cock. You still have to take the top cap jewel off and oil it, but this is a quick way of doing it. So I'm going to let this sit for a while and let the stuff just get off of that balance. And you can agitate this as well. But I don't want to do it over my mat because it'll make a mess. But you just squirt it like this and you agitate it while it's in here. So let me just see if I can move this over here and then do the agitation over on the side. Right over there. That's where the area of agitation is. So, and I think as I just bubbling away the lighter fluid. There, I just squirted a bunch of it there. And I know that it's on my table now, but I don't care about my table. I just didn't want too much to get on my mat, and then I got a big mat mess. So I can just absorb that with my lighter, with my watchmaker's paper, and that'll pick that up like you wouldn't believe. So there you go. So anyway, let me get back in a few minutes when this is ready to install, and we'll see what kind of amplitude we get. So meanwhile, back at the ranch, I'm going to unscrew this, and that one is turning, which is not good, and that one needs to stay where it was. So I think cleaning this cap jewel, I did bring it through the microsonic or the ultrasonic cleaner. I think I'll just oil it from the top because it looks as though the screws for the cap jewel are screwed. So this is probably not the best thing to do here, and I apologize out there in washland, but this old watch, you don't want to screw up the cap on it and have to re-screw it. So I think I'll just cheat, and the oil will get through the hole, so I'm not too worried there. It will get through the hole. So there. Just keep watching out for that seconds hand. I'm paranoid about the seconds hand, as you can see, right? I've never broken one, so I shouldn't be that paranoid, but I guess while I'm waiting, I can drop the, there we go, drop this in here, because I can do this while I'm waiting. And you can do this with your tweezers too. So just put that over like this. And then I line the gears up on the top. Get a little bit closer here. Yeah. So what I do here is I just line up like that, and then I make sure that the gears are pretty much meshing like that. That way when I press down, I don't have gear issues. That's in there. That's nice. So get out the old bench key, wherever it is. Where did I put my bench key? Here it is. I just want to make sure things turn. And there we go. And they do, which is nice. I'm getting good action there, which without a problem. So that's on, and I'll put the rest of it on in a second, because I still need to put on my hour wheel. But I want to get that, I want to get the balance in there working like crazy, which would be nice. I don't know if it's ready yet, but I'll check it right now. All right, I'm ready to put the balance back into the watch. This is a tricky part here. So I've got the balance upside down right now. So I'm just going to roll it over very carefully and then grab it with the tweezers. So what I want to do is get the balance to be accepted on one side. So I want to move the pallet fork over. Yeah, it's already moved, which is good. So I'm going to put it in this way and then turn it. So I'm just going to move this over like that so you can see. So I'm putting it in like this way, and then trying to get that to work right. Did that work? No, it didn't work. There we go, that's better. Still don't think it's in right, but see if it finds home here. What the hell? What the heck is going on? All right, we got action, folks. We got action. Normally when I put it in, it's a lot smoother than that, but you get what you get, right? So I just want to put a bit of pressure on the balance cock here. So I put this screw in. And same as the other ones, I want to make sure everything is flat with the balance cock before I tighten it down. And I'm going to check the magnetism as well. There we go. Yeah, we're getting a bit more amplitude than we had before, that's for sure. That's for darn sure. So that's nice. And that'll work itself in as it moves around. But I'm going to take a slow-mo video on it just to see if I got more than the 90 degrees I had before. And look at that video so I can see where the thing is going. Actually, that's not bad. It's a lot more, but it's not the best. Before it was like 90 degrees. Now it's 100 or 240, I think. So, but that'll work itself in. And I think without getting a brand new mainspring for this watch, where's my winding thing here? I'm going to wind this up a little bit more. There we go. And I'll check the amplitude now. And this watch has a little bit of magnetism, as you can see. Just put the magnet over the very top and away it goes. So when I demagnetize this should work even better. Now to demagnetize this, I put the movement in like this, push the button here, and then pull it out slowly. Like this. Hold it for 3 seconds. 1001, 1002, 1003. And then move it out slowly away while the button is on. And then I can drop it back down into this and check the magnetism, see if that worked. If it didn't, I likely have to do it again. Nope. See that? Nothing. So now it's demagnetized. I still have to let this little baby work itself in though. Alright, that's it for the video today. I got it running, so it's a good thing. It's not running with exceptional strength though. I think I'm going to need to have to replace the mainspring to have that happen. Because I guess it's more set than I thought it was. So we'll look up the mainspring and see if I have one, or if I want to replace that, or maybe I'll get a hold of Wally and see if he cares or not, because he may not care. So I'll be back at you. Maybe do the reassembly of the movement into the case and the hands. That's not a big deal at all for this. I got it running nicely. It is running okay, but the strength, it's running at about a 190 amplitude, which is not what I like. I like it to be something like 235, which is nice, but this is an old codger of a watch, so I'm not sure if I could get it going that well, even if I put a new mainspring in it. So that's it. I'm going to make the video right now, and thanks for watching my channel, and I'll catch you later.